A bright and diligent boy named Peter lived in a peaceful village. He possessed a keen mind and grand ambitions. But he was limited by a serious weakness. His thoughts were never constant. His thoughts would go into pointless daydreams, overanalyzing the past, or worrying about the future, regardless of what he was doing, studying, working, or conversing. Peter found it difficult to keep his wandering thoughts under control, even though his parents and teachers constantly reminded him to concentrate. Every time he attempted to study, he would quickly become interested in fantasies, regrets, or baseless anxieties about the future. Peter was hit with a hard reality one day while taking his school examinations. His thoughts went entirely blank as he sat in front of his response sheet. Despite having studied well, he was unable to concentrate and ended up wasting more time thinking about unrelated topics than actually responding to the questions. He had failed 2 subjects when the results were announced. His parents were really concerned, his friends felt sad for him, and his teachers were disappointed. Peter sat by himself in his room that night, feeling powerless. He was aware that his unchecked thoughts were preventing him from reaching his full potential. When his wise grandfather noticed that he was upset, he walked up to him and gently inquired, "What's wrong, Peter?" "Grandpa, no matter how hard I try, my mind keeps wandering," Peter said, his eyes watering. "I want to concentrate, but pointless ideas keep getting in the way." With a smile, his grandfather continued, "Come with me, I have something to show you." There was a big empty pot in the backyard, which he showed Peter. He gave him a cup of soiled water and instructed him to pour this into the pot. Peter did what he was told. Then his grandfather handed him a jug of pure water and said, "Now keep pouring this clean water into the pot until all the dirt is washed away." As Peter continued to pour, the murky water eventually gave way to fresh, clear water. Then his grandfather said, "This pot is like your mentality. It becomes contaminated if you continue to flood it with pointless ideas." "Let me tell you a story that will help you understand," his grandfather added with a smile. "There once was a young warrior named Thomas who lived in a remote nation. Despite his talent and strength, he had a weakness, self-doubt. His thoughts would be racing with worries before every fight. What if I lose? What if I have a stronger opponent? What if I'm made fun of?" Thomas hesitated, walked away from problems, and progressively lost confidence as a result of these thoughts. An elderly monk once noticed Thomas sitting by himself, lost in concentration. "What troubles you, young warrior?" the monk inquired. "My greatest enemy is my own thoughts," Thomas said with a sigh. "They make me weaker before the fight even starts." The monk gave him a half-full cup of water while smiling. He then handed a handful of salt to Thomas and instructed him to drop this salt into the cup and drink. Thomas did as he was told, but the water was so salty that he threw it out right away. After guiding him to a lake, the monk instructed him to add the same quantity of salt to the water. Then he instructed Thomas to sip. The water tasted fresh this time. The monk said the container's size altered, but the quantity of salt stayed the same. Even a small amount of negativity will take over you if your thinking is small. However, no negativity can disturb your tranquility if you open your mind up like a huge lake. Thomas grasped the lesson. Instead of focusing on his doubts, he filled his head with courage. He put his everything into his training, and he quickly rose to become one of the kingdom's best fighters. Peter recognized his error after hearing the story. Wasteful ideas take over so quickly because I keep my thinking small. However, the distractions will go if I occupy my mind with discipline, attention, and optimistic ideas. "Exactly," his grandpa answered, smiling. "The mind is a strong instrument that will take control of you if you don't manage it. However, it will become your greatest strength if you develop it with the correct mindset." Peter made a clear decision that evening. He refused to let his thoughts stray any longer. In order to quiet his mind, he began to follow a strict program that included mindfulness exercises and meditation. He put an end to distractions and focused on constructive pursuits. Every time an unneeded thought came to him, he changed it out with a helpful one. His confidence increased, his concentration sharpened, and his academic performance improved over time. He was the best in his class on the subsequent tests. Peter rose to fame as an intellectual years later, encouraging others to develop their mental abilities. Your mind is like a pot. Fill it with good thoughts, and there will be no room for wasteful ones. He would respond with a smile whenever someone asked how he managed to overcome distractions. Like water, the mind takes on the shape of anything we put into it. Distractions will engulf us if we let them. However, success will come easily if we fill it with discipline, positivity, and attention.